Hi, everybody. It's Christina Quick, the Tarot Biz Mentor. Welcome to today's episode of Monday Magic and Marketing. Welcome. I hope you had a great week. We are beginning on, let's see, episode 9. So we are at a really good place this season, I think. It's hard to believe that we're closing in on the last couple episodes of season 2, but this has been a really great time to spend with you guys and just talk about business things and talk about those business things that relate to higher levels of business, which is really exciting because that means a lot of you are hitting these goals and milestones, and a lot of you are about to hit these goals and milestones. So that's exciting all around. If you are new here, my name is Christina Quick. You probably know me as the Tarot Biz Mentor online. I have an online business academy at www.theprofitablepsychic.com. And I've been a professional psychic medium for the past 15 years full time. And I switched a little, let's see, 2016 or so. I started actually helping other people. I found that I was very, very good at running a psychic business and that I had a lot of business acumen, and so I decided to start helping other people learn how to get clients and not only just get clients, but attract high vibe soulmate clients to their psychic work or their healing work. So I tend to specifically work with empaths and sensitives, people that consider them to be sensitive, but also psychic. So that's people like professional tarot card readers, astrologers, psychic mediums, shamans, witches, all of the lovely alternative folks. So, welcome to episode 9. Today, we're going to be talking about working with money blocks after you've achieved some level of success, right? And so, these are also things that might be like swimming around in your brain, and even at the stage that you are at right now. So, these higher level money blocks, I mean, everybody's worked on money blocks, right? Regular old money blocks, right? But then working through those money blocks is honestly a continuous evolutionary journey. I wish that we could just work on our money blocks one time and then, we're good to go. We don't have to keep revisiting this. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And either that can be a source of stress for you, or it can be a source of excitement for you, and maybe a little bit of both. So if you can hear and see me, let me know. Hi, Mindy. Hi, pineapple, turtles, and pizza. I Do you guys like pineapple on your pizza? I love pineapple pizza. I didn't at first, but then my husband is my favorite. What's my husband's favorite? Pineapple on pizza. So he slowly converted me to the yes, pineapple belongs on pizza tribe. Okay, I'm just gonna open up this live and make sure that I'm able to see all comments that are coming through. Um, Looks like many of you are starting to come in now. Okay, so looks like everybody's finding me. I tried to come on a little bit earlier than usual just to give everybody a moment so you don't miss the very beginning of the podcast. So, last episode, in fact, the last couple episodes, we've been talking about this idea of life after success. Yeah, Casey says, I'm glad your husband is your favorite. It makes things a lot easier, doesn't it, Casey? It makes things easier, right? If he wasn't, then we might have some problems, but no. Yeah. So we've been talking about life after success. And what I mean by that is many different things. Success is so many different things. And that's kind of what I really wanted to talk so much about on this podcast this season is how success is more than just the number in your bank account or the number in which your income in which you're making. And that really becomes so important the more successful that you get, because success, we kind of a lot of us equate that as financial success, right? Having a certain amount of money, being able to purchase things with a certain level of ease and having a flow within our business, and so making sure that we're able to maintain that baseline, right? And so when you start maintaining that baseline, then we started talking about going into passive income and how that's going to shift what your business looks like. And we talked about things like being okay with the volume of your clients and work going down while still maintaining the same or more amount of money. And that's such a big mindset thing that you can spend literally like a year or 2 in that mindset, working on mastering that mindset, just that alone, right? But then at that point, we started talking about how do we shift from our purpose is to create a successful business and abundance for ourselves, and then how do we redefine that purpose once we have that and once we've been able to maintain that? So last week we talked about like being more involved with your local pagan or witchy or metaphysical or law of attraction type of community, and being more involved in your community, finding ways to show up and have an even greater impact in your community. And that's what I think all of us really truly crave at this level, because then it becomes so much less about the money and it becomes more about the experiences that we begin to cultivate and to collect. And these experiences really go on to attach and identify so much with our also business identity as well. And it's like being able to grow yourself as a person beyond just the ability to attract clients, because there's so much more to success than that. And so at this point, if this is kind of around where you're at or where you're about to go in your business, this is what your business might sort of look like. So let's look at like what a day in the life, what a week in a life, what a month in the life, what maybe a quarter in the life, what a year in the life looks like. Let's just break that down in some very very basic concepts just to kind of give everybody this sort of like baseline of, okay, I've reached this milestone, this milestone, right? So day in the life, you're probably going to be working less hours. You're probably not going to be putting in a full 8 to 9 hours day. You're probably going to be starting to work maybe about 4 to 10 hours per week. So you're probably going to see maybe up to 15 hours. So maybe there's 3 days a week that you put a good 5 hours in, and that's like your client time, right? So compartmentalizing your week really helps you set up your day to be successful. So for me, I look at my week and I say, okay, how many spoons do I have? Right? Spoon theory for our chronic illness people. How many spoons do I have? And what part of my business do I still want to maintain? Now, you may grow out of doing one-on-one completely, and that would be totally okay. And a lot of people have guilt around not wanting to do one-on-one anymore. It becomes a matter of how in the beginning, it's like it's such a struggle because you're just trying to find people that wanna do the work. Well, once you master that part of client attraction, where you master attracting people who wanna do the work, then you have a surplus. Hi, Brittany. Happy birthday. And then you have a surplus of people that you have that you're doing the work with, and you're doing great work. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with the clients, there's nothing wrong with the work that you're doing with the clients, but then you start thinking more globally. Okay, so instead of just working with individuals in a one-on-one format, in a deep soul work format, maybe you start to shift more into doing group coaching or life group programs, because now it becomes a matter for you to feel that same level of fulfillment and achievement that you had working one-on-one with people, to be able to do that in a group format, which is a totally different energy. It's very similar to working one on one, but there is a little bit of a difference, right? And so to be able to do things like that, to expand your reach out and your impact, to start, instead of saying, I'm going to impact 100 people, and to start saying, I'm going to impact 1,000 people, and I'm going to impact 10,000 people, right? So setting those new milestones for yourself, then it becomes a matter of how can we afford to set our business up in such a way that we can actually do that, so that we're not locked inside one-on-one prison jail, right? So that we can get out of that. And so shifting into focusing your one-on-ones and on specific days that's gonna be one of the very first things that you'll want to address in your weekly view of what your week in a life, week of business really looks like. So for me, I like Wednesdays, that's like in the middle of the week. Mondays for me is really just about like catching up on things, working on projects. I'm in the middle of a launch, right? We're going to start launching next Friday. So that's going to be a 3-month launch that I'm kind of gearing up for. So Mondays, it's really more about because then and then I have the Discord, which is the VIP members over in there. The VIP program is optional in the Discord, but it's like 20 or $30 a month. It depends on where you live, how much it's gonna cost you. But basically, on Mondays, I go in and I do messenger chats with people and set up their tasks for the week. And it's just a level of accountability. So on Mondays, I'm mostly focusing on that. And I set a specific amount of hours that I'm going to set aside for that. And so I have found that my like the when I feel the most alert and with it and less brain fog, that's when I wanna do that kind of stuff. So that's from 12 PM to 3 PM. And so that's my Monday. So Monday is usually we're, checking in with my VIPs, answering emails, answering follow-ups from the weekend. If I'm going to be doing a guest podcast, something like that, then that's something I wanna get at least get that application or at least get that paperwork started for the week. And then if I have any time within that space, then to work on creative projects. But creative projects kind of go down to the bottom on Mondays. Mondays is more about just setting the tone for my business week, making sure that I'm following up with communications. I'm checking in with the people that need to be checked in. I'm having sales conversations with people who are interested in purchasing programs or coaching, that sort of thing. Then Wednesdays, and Mondays we do the podcast as well. Usually we do it on Mondays, but that's only a seasonal thing. So, while the podcast is active, it is a little crazy and it can be, maybe more like 4 or 5 hours on Mondays, but typically speaking, I usually work about 3 hours on Mondays. And then Wednesday is, my check-in days. So that is like my midweek kind of check-in where I'm usually working on creating content. That's like my content creation days if I don't have one-on-one schedule. Usually though, I have one-on-one scheduled. Like Wednesday is my dedicated one-on-one days. And so setting aside one specific day that I talk to people in a one-on-one capacity allows me to be able to navigate my week with confidence, knowing that I'm gonna have the energy, time, and the space to be able to perform my duties that I need to be able to perform, right, at my peak. And so, and then Fridays are typically strictly content creation days. And this is also a day that I tend to specifically focus on the social aspect of my business. So Fridays is when you'll usually see me come in, hang out on Discord or post in the groups, which is not really as relevant anymore. But posting in the Discords, posting on my personal timeline, posting on YouTube, something like that, right? I'm just trying to feed the algorithm with social behavior. And just touch base with everybody, right? So I try to view Fridays as like fun days where don't have anything specifically planned. I just kinda like to see what I intuitively are able to get into on Fridays. So that's like my week at a glance. So I typically work Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. Those are my main days. Sometimes I do have to do some work on Tuesdays and Thursdays, especially if I have client projects and things like that. But otherwise, Tuesdays and Thursdays and weekends are optional for me. I don't have to do it and um, I don't promise anything on those days because I want to be able to give myself the leisure time that I need in order to be able to balance my work life situation. So I highly encourage you to, if you don't already have a compartmentalized schedule, and it doesn't have to be strict by any means, but just an idea of what you're doing on each day. And so instead of just sitting down into your day and spending the first hour trying to figure out what the heck to even do, this is what I recommend to really supercharge your ability to be productive in a way that's gonna be super efficient and that it's not gonna burn you out, right? Because that fact that you might be sitting there for 45 minutes wondering, "What do I need to do for my business today?" That is killing your productivity. It's killing your energy because Now you've used up all your mental energy and now you have to go what? Create content or socialize or put up a sale like, it's difficult to be able to do that, to sustain that. And it can really feel like you're not it can feel like you're wasting a lot of time in your business. And I don't want that for you. I want everything that you do to be intent either one of two things. I want it one to be intentional. That would be the best possible, way to go about it. Or it needs to feel good, right? I'm so over and anti doing anything that doesn't feel good anymore, right? Like, and it's okay to be slightly uncomfortable. It's okay for the work to feel like work. When I put together blog posts and things like that, or transcribe my videos, or put together an article, or things like that, it's like yeah, it's work, but it's not work that I hate. It's okay for it to feel like work, but it's not okay to just not show up because it's aggravating your adrenals and your nervous system in a way that's not conducive to the overall efficiency of your business. Brittany says, I'm going to have to block more things like that because as yet it's called do as much as I can until I fall out from exhaustion. And you're not alone. I used to work like that. Everybody used to work like that. That's that hustle culture that we were talking about. And sometimes stare into oblivion, wondering about life, and then I'm mad, right? And so we give ourselves too much time to sabotage ourselves, right? Too much time for that monkey mind to start putting in to our thoughts these self-sabotaging thoughts. And sometimes self-sabotage can just be so subtle and sometimes self-sabotage can feel so good. So it's really difficult to be able to discern that in the beginning, but also it's not that you have to be productive all the time, but that you have to be productive in a consistent manner. And that's what really is going to shift and change everything for people. And to really get them to see that this business is a business, that we have certain priorities and agendas that we need to complete. And beyond that, then we can focus on like the fun stuff, right? But until the business stuff is done, then, we still have some work to do. So that's about what your life is probably gonna be looking at, like, on a weekly basis. On a monthly basis, I surely hope that you are creating at least 3 or 4 pieces of content, whether that is a blog post or a video. I think videos are so much easier than blog posts because if you are psychic, then you can channel. You can channel information. And so filming videos, and I know a lot of you are very hesitant to get on video and stuff like that, but I'm gonna tell you something, nobody cares what you look like. They really don't. Like, every once in a great while, I might get, like, a hate comment or about my weight, or I might get, like, some comments about, making money as a psychic is unethical, something like that. And everybody's gonna have an opinion. You're not gonna be able to escape negativity. You're not gonna be able to escape criticism. It just doesn't happen. It's not realistic. You can't live in a bubble all the time. You can if you're, I guess, a trust fund baby, but but that's not me. So sorry, I don't have that kind of life experience to share with you. But and and the thing is that putting out your own video content is always going to have a bigger impact than anything else you'll ever do. If you aren't doing video content now, I would highly recommend that you do video content, some kind of video content, right? And I highly recommend that you're doing something like 3 to 10 minute long videos that are educational, informational, motivational, or inspirational. Those four things, right? And it doesn't have to be all four of those things. It could just be one of those four things. So educational, you're teaching someone something, right? That's what people value the most is learning, especially in our field. If you're not teaching, then it's going to be really difficult for people to see you as an expert. It's going to be difficult for you to build up that credibility. It's going to be difficult for you to overcome imposter syndrome, right? Um, educational, inspirational, right? So inspirational talks about really your stories, your struggles, how you overcame your own problems, right? And that's what's going to lend you that credibility. The other type of content, there's a fourth one. I'll talk about that in a second. The other type of content is going to be motivational. Motivational content is where you are talking directly to the people who are in your audience and you're calling them out on something, right? Usually it's your call, and I mean in a loving and gentle way. um, motivational means that you are calling someone out on their blocks, on their limiting beliefs, on their shadows, and you are trying to motivate them to take a different kind of action, a more inspired action. So those are the three types of main content. Pick one, doesn't matter. Pick one, just pick one and go with it. Of course, educational content is going to be the highest value, but you still need some of that inspirational, you still need some of that motivational. Motivational is what actually gonna drive the sales, is calling people out, getting challenging their beliefs, and getting them to take action, right? The other type of content, and I have a whole masterclass on this. I think it's like 3 hours long, but it's some kind of community building event that you want to be doing, whether that's running a live challenge, whether that's teaching a workshop, whether that's hosting a series, hosting a podcast like this, okay? Um, Signing up for guest podcasts that you're going out and showing up on other people's podcasts to do, or possibly even signing up to do conferences or telesummits and things of those nature. You don't have to do all of those things in 1 month. Just pick one. And if you would commit to doing 3 pieces of content per month and 1 live event, you're gonna be in a good spot. After 1 year, if you can grind a whole year and you can do this and you can stick within one niche, one demographic, then that is the power level accelerated way to build up a business in 1 year or less, right? So, that's what your month is kinda gonna look like. Now, when we look at, like, the quarter of a year, we wanna be launching something at least 1 quarter of the year. That means going into launch mode. That means coming out with a program, or it means coming out with a new signature package deal that you've put together. That could be anything, but it's something that you're going to sell as high ticket. Now, high ticket is, different for everybody. For some people, high ticket is $100 per person. For some people, high ticket's $500. For some people, high ticket's $5,000. For some people, it's 20. Okay. So finding that threshold of where, and I go through this exercise with people when we're looking for that threshold, right? So if you've ever been on a roller coaster or you've ever driven in a car and gone down in a dip, you know that feeling when your stomach kind of drops out from under you and you're like, "Oh my god." You lose it. You lose your stomach, right? And it's kind of that same situation when we are running through our chakras. So what I like to do is I'll ask people, and you can just do this with yourself and just ask yourself this as a self-coaching exercise with yourself. Okay, what is the most anybody has ever paid me for what I'm offering? Okay. So say you want to focus on one-on-ones. Say that the most anybody has ever paid you was $100 for a one-on-one. So you have a soft limit at $100. So we're going to start there. So what I say is close your eyes, and I'm going to start saying amounts of money. And I want you to pay attention to where you feel at what point, what amount of money that you begin to feel like your stomach is dropping out, right? And that's when you start, excuse me, just one moment. My mother's in the ER. Give me just a second. Hi. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so, yeah, my mom's it's been a morning. So she's in the ER. She's in ketoacidosis. She has really bad flu right now, and they're helicoptering her to Phoenix and things like that. So stressful situation, but she's under good care. Okay, so once per quarter, you're going to want to launch something, and so you're going to want to check in. Um, what is your financial what is your soft limit and what is your hard limit? So if I say $100, $500, $1,000, $5,000, where is that point in which your energy falls out? And that's your hard limit. So that's a great way to get an idea of what is your average, right? So if your stomach was like, oh, I don't think I could do $1,000, all right. So then maybe somewhere between 100 and 500 would be a good goal for you to work on for your launches. And so when you're doing launches, that's going to be things like selling packages. So I recommend most people start out with like a 3 session package for around $500. If you want to go for the like 1,000 mark, you're like maybe 5,000 was actually where your stomach dropped out. And you're like, okay, well, maybe I have a soft limit around 1,000 and maybe I have a hard limit around 2,500, right? And so we want to push ourselves, but we want to push ourselves in a way that it's going to not allow us to like sabotage all the good work that we've done for our money mindset, right? So that's kind of like what your quarter is going to look like. And then we talked a lot about what your year is going to look like in the last 2 episodes. So I won't go too much into that, but I did kind of talk today about some of the money blocks that are going to come up that are going to be very, very difficult to kind of maintain and to work through. Because truth be told, there's a lot of content out there. There's a lot of coaches that work with like beginner type of money mindset, but there's not a lot of coaches out there that have attracted, manifested the experiences at these higher levels. So the very first one, and apologies, I will have to make this a little bit short, so I'm just gonna kind of go through it because I need to call the hospital and get that information. So one of the first things that people really come to me with is that they're afraid that they're not going to be able to sustain the amount of money that they've been making. It's kind of like being a one-hit wonder. Like you have a fear of being a one-hit wonder, right? Like I achieved this level of success and am I going to be able to do it again, right? Or have I peaked? And that's something that we all kind of go through, you know. You have your first 5K, 10K, 20K launch or 1K launch or $500 launch, whatever wherever you're at with it, and you're like, "Can I do this again?" And the answer is yes, that you can do it again. And you can do it again and again and again, and you can do it more. And sometimes you'll have launches that are less, and so sometimes that will eat at you. So you know, maybe sometimes you'll have a 5K launch and you do really well. And then maybe sometimes you get 10 people at $500 and you get 5,000 off of it. And then maybe sometimes you launch a similar thing and you only get 3 sales and maybe you only make $1,500 off of it. And so it's really that like ebb and flow of those amounts that becomes like the new money block. It becomes the new source of, I don't know if I'm going to be able to maintain this or hold on to this. The other one that comes up a lot is, um, the urge to destroy the evidence is what I call destroying the evidence. So you have this good launch, you make $5,000, and then you feel like you've gotta spend it all. It's burning a hole in your pocket. You've gotta spend every single cent that you're making because you never know if it's ever gonna be this good again. So you then I went through this a couple times where you're buying all the good foods and you're buying the purses, and this is usually when you, like, start buying the shoes and buying the purses and buying all of those things that you're like, "Ugh, I don't know if I'll ever get this opportunity again. So it's like, oh, I've got to splurge, right? And so that's a huge money block. It's a huge money block to feel like you've got to spend all your money before you lose it somehow, right? And it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy where you decide to get rid of all the money before it can be taken away from you. It's like a self-protective mechanism, right? And then another block that I want to talk about too is the pressure to do more and more and more and more. And this is a pressure that really, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but it comes from an outside source usually. And so the internal thing where I've gotta, I can't spend the money because I'll never know if I'll get this amount of money again, and so we go from, like, hoarding the money because we don't trust that we'll be able to manifest that amount of money again, or it depends on which side of the pendulum you're on, then you go through and you spend it all because you're not sure if you're ever gonna be able to get it again. But it all pretty much comes back to the idea that you're not sure if you're gonna be able to keep manifesting that. You're not sure if you're gonna be able to maintain that. And then the other one is this pressure to perform. Okay. So let's say you've been running your business for 5 years consistently and you're doing your content, you're doing those things we talked about on a monthly and weekly basis. You are putting out your live events, your quarterly, once or twice a year and over a quarter, over a 90-day period. You're launching something. Okay. And your content is going to get immensely better over time. It's like almost quantumly exponential how good your programs are going to become. And so that whole like imposter syndrome, like that's always going to be there to a certain extent. And what it really is I tell people it's your checks and balances system. It's your intuitive checks and balances system where it's preventing you from becoming a sociopath, becoming a psychopath, being led into your darker temptations is one of our fears around money. Is it going to make me a bad person? Is it going to make me an evil person? Right. And so you continually go through, put out your content. Your content's going to get miles and miles and miles better. And then everybody's going to be hungry for more and more and more. So there is this pressure. And let me be completely transparent and upfront about this. You only need one thing. You only need one thing: a workshop, a one-on-one session, a one-on-one package, whatever, a piece of digital content that you're selling. You only need one thing to be successful. There's no reason, it's totally unnecessary to create more than one program unless you want to and it's in your heart to do it and you feel like you've gained enough experience and wisdom and the ability to guide and kind of doula people through these experiences that we go through. I have let's see, I have created so I had my first course that I ever created was called Angelic Realm Communicator. That was what I did back on Etsy, where I taught people how to do one-on-one sessions, basically, but doing them through astrology, numerology, and through the angelic realm. So it was like different different kinds of ways to connect with the angelic realm. That's why the original Thinkific, my website is originally angelicrealmseminary.thinkific.com and not the profitable psychic because that was originally my first course. My first course was as an angel communicator, certifying people in doing angel communication. Then my second program I put together, and my first program was in 2012, 2013. So then and it was like a six-part course, and I sold it, I think, for like $44, and then it went up to like $100. And then I did Make Tarot Your Business, which is where most of you have found me at this point. And Make Tarot Your Business was like a 20-module course. I worked on that thing for like 3 years. And it was considerably so much better than the Angel course that I had put together. You get better at making slides. You get better at creating the content. You get better at showing up on camera. You get better at coaching. And then I created the Mystic to Mentor or the Market Yourself as a Spiritual Life Coach program. That was back in, I want to say 2016, 2015, 2016. And so that was I basically took my old program, Make Your Business, and condensed it down into 12 modules and updated it to for the new era, right? And to be beyond just helping tarot readers, I wanted to start helping people like astrologists and numerologists and angel readers and not just locking it down to running a tarot business. So that's why I shifted into the mystic to mentor. And then from there, we did Moon Marketing Magic. Moon Marketing Magic was birthed because, and Moon Marketing Magic is about launching. So that's a launching program. It's all about launching. So if you don't have that one and you haven't launched yet, or you're not sure about creating a content calendar, that's the one that you want to start with. So, and then I created that one. I want to say that was 2019, 2018. And then my last program, it has been the Luxurious Lightworker. That was a year-long program that basically took all of my programs, condensed it into a one-year accelerated program, and then I added a whole bunch more to it, and it became this now what I consider to be my signature program, where it encompasses all those levels, all those stages, and things like that. So my programs over time have evolved. And because they have evolved, I've been able to expand my income past just doing one on ones. So now my income is mostly passive income at this point, and revenue, not affiliate, ad revenue from, like, YouTube and, like, Facebook, Meta, things like that, so getting that kind of payout, where people watch my content, they, watch the ads, and then I get a piece of that cake. And so then there's that, and then I still do one-on-one coaching and client projects and things like that, but what I'm trying to say is I could have stopped at the angelic communicator program, and I could have done that for the next 15 years, but I decided to switch my niche, number 1. That was one of the key things that led me to believe that I needed to create a new program. So, when do you know you need to create new programs? Well, if your niche changes or the outcome that you wanna get people changes, that's your sign that it's time to, change, to to start a new program or to modify or redo your old program. And it's totally normal, just FYI, to redo your program over and over and over and over again. It's totally normal to do that. When I did the Make Tour Your Business, I probably refilmed that entire course 3 times. And there's about 21 videos, I think, and they are each about 2 hours long. So yeah, there was probably a good 100 hours of just lost footage on my hard drives that I just deleted because I wasn't happy with how it turned out. So I do encourage you all to be open to trying to get that quality out that you want to express, but also realize that there's a time and place where you just have to put it out there. You just have to put it out there. Now I'm a one and doneer. I don't refilm nothing. I don't edit nothing. I don't have time for that you know? And so I've learned to just over creating many, many programs over the years. I've just learned to prepare better. And what that means is bullet pointing out the videos that I want to talk about, specific talking points that I really want to address. Keeping myself on task, making sure that I'm setting up my day and my schedule for success in order to compartmentalize when those duties, responsibilities need to be done. Right? Yeah, gadzooks. Brittany says, I really don't think people are going to be interested in hearing from me until they do. They are interested in hearing from you, but you need to let them know that you know something that they want to know that they're not going to be able to get to know unless you tell them. Does that make sense? So, in order to create that demand, that desire to hear from you, you have to give them a reason to. You have to know something that they don't. And you have to be able to communicate with people in a way that you're addressing their problems, right? And that's the big shift is being able to have what people want to know. And so in order to do that, you got to really do some deep demographic work and, figure out what it is that people are struggling with and then be able to design your communication around that. I'm also being obsessive about it being the best thing ever. When people say your first book always sucks, it's never gonna be the best. There's always gonna be someone out there that does what you do way better than you. There's always gonna be some idol, some god out there that you'll never be able to touch their level of quality. That's because that's their purpose in order to do that. That's where they're at. That's their natural purpose, or they have the finances, the resources in order to produce that. Like when we think about hay house people like Colette Baron Reed or, Doreen Virtue or John Holland or Van Prague, we think about these people that they make it look oh so easy. And it's just what it is they have, a $20,000 team, marketing team, sorry, my nose is running. It's so cold today. A marketing team in order to produce them. Trust me when I tell you, those people are not near as smart as you. Trust me when I tell you that they aren't. They have a team to help them. Okay. So if you're doing it on your own, it's just going to have to be what it is. And you can always go back and you can always do more. But at the same time, I really encourage you guys to be at peace with where you are. Be at peace with your ability to produce what you can produce because the simple fact that you can produce anything, you're doing something that other people are too scared to even try to do, you know? So yeah, your first stuff, it's an accomplishment just to get it out, just to get it finished, just to get it created. It's a huge accomplishment just to sell it. If you sell your program to one person, it was worth it, right? I think so. I think so. If you sell your program to one person, it's worth it. Even if you never sell that program and you create a program, it's still worth it because that's your magnum opus. That is your great work. That is your sole purpose to get that out. And once you get it out, you can clear. It's kind of like, you have your aura and you have all of these ideas and potentials swimming around in your aura at any given time. And you have this ego that has this vision of what it's got to look like. And those 2 things don't always have to be in agreement for something to be considered worthwhile or successful, right? So just something to think about. Yeah, your stuff's always gonna not be as good as someone else's stuff. That's just reality, right? There's always gonna be someone out there more talented, more successful, smarter than you, but there's a whole lot more people out there that aren't. And so it's easier to just make a name for yourself than try to compete with these big dogs because you can't do it, right? And it takes time in order to be able to it takes time, resources, finances in order to do that. And you're not Walmart, you're not Amazon, right? You're not these places, you're not Hay House, you're not these places that have these unlimited amounts of money to make mistakes and produce. So, yeah, that's what I really wanted to talk about with today, is those core that pressure to keep performing, right? And I feel that a lot of the times because I know I've only put out like between all I was looking at this morning, I have 427 YouTube videos. 427 YouTube videos. What the hell, right? And I have probably another 150 hours of content that you can purchase on the Academy website. Okay. So I'm heading up towards 1,000 hours of content. That's insane. I don't necessarily recommend that for everybody. Okay. That's my speed that in which I work. I also, this is the only thing that I do. So I have the privilege and time to be able to devote it towards this. Right. Um, but after a while, you start to feel like, "Oh, if I'm not putting out new content, people are gonna run away from me, or they're not gonna be as interested in me anymore." And you know what? Maybe, yeah, maybe you're not the new shiny thing. Maybe you're not the new cool coach. Maybe you're not in the clicks anymore. But when you create your own foundation to stand on, you become so powerful. Your business is recession proof. It's not dictated by trends. It's not dictated by popularity. It's not dictated by the clicks that you run with. It's not dictated by anything else except for your own rhythm, your own nervous system, bringing us back to that first ever episode that we talked about on this podcast, season 1, episode 1, finding your own rhythm, right? Finding the rhythm in which you dance in your own life and not worrying so much about the external forces. And yeah, there is pressure to perform, but you find other ways to perform. And then you realize, you know what? It's not my job to raise the entire world. It's just my job to influence the people that I can. And so it's kind of crazy to think that, you owe people everything always. All of the information that's in your head, you owe them that. And it's not true. You get to pick and choose what you want to help people with. You get to pick and choose how you want your programs, your sessions to go. You get to choose um how you want to show up in the world. And yes, there's always going to be that external pressure, and so that's why it's important to do like live events once in a while, get on other people's podcasts, but really it's about leaning back and being okay and saying, this is enough. I am enough. I have done enough. And it's okay. I'm at this point where, if I don't create anything else, I'm okay with that. I haven't hit my point where I don't wanna create anymore, but I've definitely slowed down. So I used to release programs like once a quarter. I used to release programs like every 3 months, every 6 months, at least 2 programs a year. Now it's more like 1 program every couple years, 1 program every 2 years. And so I'm sure that we'll get to a point where I maybe release 1 program every 5 years. And then it'll probably come to a point where I'm not releasing any more programs, right? And I'm on this new adventure, this whatever wherever life has taken me at that point. So, I hope you got something from today. I hope that you don't feel as alone with these thoughts that you're thinking about. I promised my grandma I would publish, Brittany says. I told you I'll take your advice. Nothing to do it, but do it right. And you'll say to get published off, you'll get to say published author friend Brittany. Yeah. And it's such an accomplishment. Did you know, and just a side tangent before I let you guys go, did you know that the majority of businesses the majority of successful businesses are just hobbies of rich people? Did you know that? Did you know that a lot of rich people just set up businesses and they don't care if it's a business loss, they just do it because it's fun and it's what they wanna do? All those boutiques, all those high fashion boutiques that you see out there, they're usually not big money makers. They're usually a profit loss. There's wealthy people have assets. They have businesses, they have houses, they have cars, they have hedge funds, they have all these things. Rich people tend to have money. Wealthy people tend to have assets. And not just wealthy as in money, but wealthy in the life experiences, right? So you get to a point where you're not so concerned about whether the business is bringing in money, but if you can afford to have the business because it makes you happy. Did you know that? For me, that was a huge mindset shift for me when I realized that most businesses aren't in business to make money, successful ones anyway, you know? They're in business because some rich person, some trust fund babies, some that's called FU money. Right, exactly, Mindy. It is. And they don't care. They'll spend 500 grand setting up this business, run it for a year, drive it into the ground, and then they're on to the next one. As long as they recoup some of that money, you know? Okay, well, I gotta get on the hospital phone line and figure out what hospital they're taking my mom to and all that kind of stuff. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you for coming in and hanging out today. I will see you guys in the next episode.